It is the last day of the month, which means this is the final chance to pass the Ravens rundown in subscribers for February. If you're not subscribed to the channel yet, consider joining the channel today. That way we can beat the Ravens now, go into the season 1-0. Let's talk about trades on today's show because during Andrew Berry's press conference at the NFL Combine, he was loosely asked about the potential of a trade, and Andrew Berry has definitely been no stranger to making trades. The guy is proposing pushing the NFL trade deadline back so he can make more trades. So I don't think it's a big reach to suggest the Browns could be in the mix for another trade this offseason after making multiple trades the last few offseasons, whether it's Elijah Moore, whether it's Deshaun Watson, of course. We've seen a lot of trades go down with the Cleveland Browns the last few offseasons. So let's start by looking at the Browns' ammunition to give up in a trade. They've got their 54th overall pick in round number 2. And I'm going to remind you guys, the last 2 drafts, the Browns have had a second-round pick, which they traded away. In 2022, they traded it to the Houston Texans to move back and get a third and a couple of fourths. Last year, they used that second-round pick to get Elijah Moore. And this year, they may very well move on from round number 2 as well. So if they choose to move on from that second-round pick to go get a surefire thing, well, here are some guys to keep an eye on. Let's start with Jonathan Allen, the Washington Commanders' defensive tackle / defensive end, kind of depending on what scheme you want to toss him in. But some of the rumors coming out of the NFL Combine include Jonathan Allen being available for a trade. Now, the former first overall pick out of Alabama has been very productive since joining the Commanders. But I think he's also a little bit unhappy with the Washington Commanders because I remember that post-game press conference he held in his, interview he did in the locker room. He's like, tired of losing. Been here for 7 years and all I've done is lose. Now, when you look at Jonathan Allen's numbers over the last 4 seasons, he has been very productive, especially for an interior defensive lineman as of late. 9 sacks, 7.5 sacks, 5.5 sacks. I mean, sacks not the only number to keep an eye on. I could see how people would look at that regression and think Allen's game is passing him by, but I'm telling you, he is still playing at a high level. He can still produce on a great defensive line like the Cleveland Browns. And the Browns, it's no surprise, no secret, I should say, that they've got some holes to fill on the defensive line with Jordan Elliott, Zadarius Smith, Shelby Harris, and Maurice Hurst all set to hit free agency. Now, I think they're going to bring back Maurice Hurst. Shelby Harris and Jordan Elliott, they kind of feel like coin flips. More positivity on Shelby Harris' side than Jordan Elliott. I think the Browns are going to compete to bring back Zadarius Smith, but they are going to let him test the free agency waters. So what if the Browns want to run with the defensive line of Myles Garrett, Dalvin Tomlinson, Jonathan Allen, Maurice Hurst, Siaka Ika, and then they try and find a new Zadarius Smith replacement elsewhere? Here's my trade idea. And this one involves a second-rounder going to Washington. The Browns get Jonathan Allen and a 4th-round pick, kind of like the Elijah Moore trade last year, and the Commanders get Cleveland's 2nd-round pick this year. So last year, if you remember, the Browns got Elijah Moore in a 3rd, and the Jets got a 2nd. Elijah Moore is not as valuable as Jonathan Allen is, I would say. So in this situation, the Browns are only getting a 4th-round back instead of a 3rd-round. Now, for those of you saying, no, don't trade the 2nd-rounder, let's use that 2nd-round pick to go find a pass rusher. I hear you. I do. The issue is, it's not easy finding pass rushers. And it's definitely not easy finding pass rushers after the 1st round. I took a 5-year sample size of 2016 to 2020, and I looked at all the defensive ends, which is what Jonathan Allen was coming out of college. So it's not a one-size-fit-all, but just stick with me. In that 5-year span. And in that 5-year span, there were 13 defensive ends taken. 3 have had 8+ sack seasons. Only 1 got a second contract from the team that drafted him. So, it's not easy to find pass rushers in round 2 of the NFL draft. So if you want to use Cleveland's 54th overall pick to go draft your own Jonathan Allen, good luck, because it hasn't been done a whole lot. But here is the trade idea I proposed earlier. Would you do this trade? A for accept or D for decline? Let me know in the comment section if you would part ways with Cleveland's second rounder, marking another year of no first or second to go get a veteran proven player to try and put together an elite defensive line and a Super Bowl run. Moving on to our next trade target, let's talk about Jerry Jeudy, the wide receiver from the Broncos, who we have not talked about in a little bit, maybe like a month or so. Someone can fact check me. But Jerry Jeudy, through 4 years in Denver, has been a little bit underwhelming. Let's just be honest. Let's just call a spade here, right? 4 years for the former Blitnikoff winner and no 1,000-yard seasons to show for, and a real issue of finding the end zone. Like this past year, 2 touchdowns. The year before that, he had 6. 3 of which all came in one game, so not a really evenly split distribution across the entire season. I personally would prefer to just go draft a wide receiver at 54 rather than using it on Jerry Jeudy, who's on a 5th-year option of $12.9 fully guaranteed $1 million, whatever the term is. To me, like I said earlier, it's hard to find edge rushers or defensive ends in round number 2. It's a lot easier to find wide receivers in round 2, like Devontae Adams, DK Metcalf, 2 second-round wide receivers that just pop into my mind right now, and I'm sure there's more I'm forgetting about. Jerry Jeudy, I'd rather see that 54th overall pick used on a rookie, reset at the position a little bit, get 4 years of much cheaper play than one $12.9 million season, and then after that, you got to make a decision on whether or not you want to pay him and extend him. So let me know, would you do this trade? The plus side is you're going to get probably more production in 2024 out of Jerry Jeudy than what you would get out of that rookie wide receiver as they learn the NFL speed. So if you really want to maximize 2024, go all in on this season alone, that's probably your best bet. But if you want to think a little bit past 2024, holding on to the pick is the wiser choice here. So pick a wide receiver for me. Would you rather go to the draft to find one at the 54th overall pick, or would you rather use it to get Jerry Jeudy? Give me your opinion down below in the comment section. Now, we've got more trade targets to look at in just a brief moment, but first, I want to tell you guys about our sponsor today, which is Prize Picks. Prize Picks is the largest daily fantasy sports platform in North America. The easiest and most exciting way to play DFS. All you do is pick more than or less than on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. Conference tournaments are almost here, which means the biggest moments in college basketball are getting closer, and you can be a part of the action on Prize Picks for both men's and women's college basketball. Also, a really cool thing about Prize Picks is they offer injury insurance. So in a basketball game, if your player exits in the first half and doesn't return in the second, that player projection won't count against you, and the rest of your entry stays alive. Now, we have the NFL Combine right now, so if you want to roll with me on my selections for the wide receiver 40-yard dash times, here's what I'm doing. I'm taking the less on Troy Franklin, a guy I would love to pick at 54, and I like the less on Mitchell as well, thinking they're going to run below those projected 40-yard dash times, and then I like the more on Xavier Worthy. So if you like these selections, or if you just want to have a reason to put on the NFL Combine, which, let's be honest, it can be a bit dry watching guys run around in their underwear, go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS for a first-time deposit match up to $100. Download the app today and use that code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100. I have put that link in the comments and description of today's video. Third trade target is an oldie but a goodie, Haason Reddick. Remember a few weeks ago, the Philadelphia Eagles had this bizarre story come out that they were letting Haason Reddick seek a trade, and then Haason Reddick was like, I'm not trying to get traded. Well, let's circle back on that now because he still has not been dealt. He has not received a contract extension. So we have reason to believe that we have not progressed from where we last talked about Haason Reddick, which is the Eagles know that he is being vastly underpaid. 3-year, $45 million contract is what he signed 2 offseasons ago, and he has outperformed that. The Eagles know it, but they're not prepared to pay him for what he is really worth. So they are open to Haason Reddick seeking a trade and letting him shop the market to see if another team will give him the contract that he is looking for, and the Eagles can get some draft compensation out of it. And he's definitely worth taking a good look at. I mean, look at what he's done. 4 straight seasons of 10 or more, 11 or more sacks. 2 seasons ago, 16 sacks and 5 forced fumbles. This should be a player that more teams are clamoring over. And to be frankly honest with you, I don't know why this story has gotten cold. Now, Reddick is looking for a contract extension. And when the Browns traded for Darius Smith, if you remember, he had 2 years left on his deal. And they consolidated that, made a bunch of guaranteed money for 2023, allowing him to be a free agent and kind of cash in one more time in free agency before he knew he would not have much of a market as he went on the wrong side of 30. So I'm not quite sure if that's going to make a good match with the Browns, because my suspicion is they wouldn't be looking to give him a big extension, and Haason Reddick wants to get a big extension, but maybe they'll feel differently for a guy like Reddick who's been very productive the last couple of seasons. So here's my trade idea. The Eagles are going to want a first, and I don't blame them. 4 straight years of 11-plus sacks. Why would you take anything less than a first? But the fact is, it's been about a month. They haven't traded him. There hasn't been many talks about getting him done. So maybe they'll take this offer, a second and a future 4th-round pick. I know it's probably not what they were looking for, but a lot of times teams don't get what they're looking for, especially when word gets out that a player is available for a trade. They lose a lot of leverage at that point. Let's move on to our 4th and 5th final trade targets, Courtland Sutton and Tyler Lockett. Now, I don't think these 2 wide receivers would cost the Browns their 2nd-round pick, which is why I put them at the end. But they are definitely 2 wide receivers that could be moved this offseason. More so on Courtland Sutton than Tyler Lockett. Sutton comes off a 10-touchdown year with Russell Wilson, but he's also got a big cap hit. The Broncos are over the salary cap right now. They've got to clean up their books a little bit, so they may be open to shopping Courtland Sutton and selling high on him right now. I personally have concerns over Courtland Sutton. He's a aging wide receiver that suffered a torn ACL early in his career that doesn't separate very well. He relies on his body and his frame to get the touchdowns, to get the yardage. And he was really good at it last year, but to me, he gives me Allen Robinson vibes. You guys remember how good Allen Robinson was with the Bears? He was never a speed demon type of receiver. He just had a really good route running ability and really good ball control and just overall good, well-rounded wide receiver. But as, Father Time caught up to him and he couldn't separate all that well from DBs, well, his production started to go down. And I fear that Courtland Sutton, while he had 10 touchdowns last year, doesn't get those jump balls in the end zone, he may not be nearly as productive on his next team. So for me, I'm probably out on Courtland Sutton. Tyler Lockett, he is an all-time Seattle Seahawk. And my gut is he'll probably stay a Seahawk for his entire career, but he's got a big cap hit this offseason and next year as well. And with Seattle liking what they saw out of JSN last year, maybe they feel like he's ready to go into a bigger role, and they don't see the need to hold on to Tyler Lockett, who has a big cap hit, as a 3rd wide receiver. But my hiccup with Tyler Lockett is the guy that was always on the receiving end of those deep balls from Russell Wilson that got tackled at the 1-yard line. In 2021, he averaged 16.1 yards a reception. Last year, shaved 5 yards off that. He's losing his deep threat abilities. And if that's what you're looking for out of Tyler Lockett and that's what's going away, it doesn't seem like a great time to trade for him. So neither of these receivers really catch my interest all that much. But which player do you want to trade for? We ran through 5 players today. Is it one of those 5? Is it someone else? Let me know in the comment section. Don't be afraid. People are afraid to comment. I don't know why. Get over the phobia. Hop in the comment section. Live on the wild side with me here. All right, let's pick a card to wrap up the show. Mr. Cullen Brown, which card do you want to go with?
Let's see. Love Tyler Lockett.
Yeah, Seahawks fan over here.
16, 1 + 6, 7, and love him with my heart. 7 hearts.
7 hearts? Okay. I'm going to go with the Jack of Spades. 2 of clubs. 2 of clubs. All right, that will do it for us on today's show. We will sign off. Let you guys enjoy the rest of your day and catch up later.